This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of The Bad Batch Episode 6, Decommissioned. And I cannot edit this now, because Disney Plus doesn't let you take screenshots at all anymore. So I cannot get any images for this. And since it's so early on, I can't find them on the internet. And this is just so annoying now. I have no idea how other channels are able to get these screenshots. I'll have to figure that out. And hopefully I could. But for now I just have to do this. The episode begins with Echo teaching Omega to shoot with the bow. She is repeatedly failing to hit the target, with only getting lucky a few times, and Echo tries to teach her how to do it, but Sid has a mission for them. She sends them to Corellia to steal a tactical droid head, so she could sell the information in it to an unknown party. And she finally gives some advice to Omega that she needs to work on her arm strength to be able to fire the bow better. The Bad Batch do agree, realizing that they do need an ally, and they sneak onto Corellia and pretty easily sneak into the facility that is destroying thousands, if not more, of battle droids. And the mission seems to be going pretty easily at first. The Bad Batch are able to find the tactical droid pretty quickly and able to knock out any plant workers they find. But everything changes when someone else there tries to steal the tactical droid. This turns out to be Trace and Rafa Martez, who were first seen in the Clone Wars Season 7. And they are trying to take the tactical droid's head also for their own reasons, which we'll learn later. This ends up making the two groups fight, and this alerts the other workers who sound the alarm, and suddenly hundreds of police droids are swarming the base. The Bad Batch and the Martez sisters realize that they need to team up to be able to survive this, and temporarily put aside their fight for the tactical droid to team up against these droids. Omega nearly dies, falling into a molten pit of droids right before it is about to release. She is saved by Trace, and continuing on, Hunter and the rest of the Bad Batch are able to dispose of many droids, but while trying to reactivate the plant so they can escape, Wrecker hits his head once again and begins to have his inhibitor chip activate. As he says, good soldiers follow orders, and begins to hear Crosshair saying that to him. He eventually is able to snap out of it, but it's almost guaranteed that it's not going to be permanent, and the Bad Batch managed to escape after reactivating all the battle droids with the help of the Martez sisters, who gave the suggestion, and using the tactical droid's head, they might try to escape, but they lose the head and have to escape without it, where they are dropped off by the Martez sisters and R7, Ahsoka's droid, which I'll get back to in a second. And they say that did they know who hired them? And they don't really know who gave the job, although they do know it was given to them by Sid, but that really wasn't going to be too helpful since she was the middleman. And the sisters explained that they're doing this to go against the Empire and help someone. So, going to make a decision, they reveal that they made a copy of the tactical droid's memory and give it to the sisters, who are thankful and leave. And then Bad Batch also continue to leave. But we finally cut to the Martez's sister's ship, Silver Angel, where a different looking R7 contacts a mysterious man, and they did say him, so we have to assume it is a man. So that at least cuts out some of the more interesting ones, like Ahsoka, who was probably the most logical one for them to be contacting, but who knows. And they finally tell them that they know where a rogue batch of clones are. That could be useful. First thing I have to say is there was a pretty big mistake made in this episode, because the droid R7, which was Ahsoka's, and destroyed in the Venator crash back in the finale, who I'm assuming was repaired. And that's not really a big plot hole at all. We have seen R2-D2 destroyed multiple times in the Clone Wars, or nearly destroyed, including in Downfall of the Droid, and that one really weird arc back in season 5, I think, where he blew up the Venator and was completely destroyed, but was restored to full memory and everything. So that's not too big of a plot hole. But what is in the first shot we see R7. R7 looks exactly like the way that R7 did back in that last episode. And then the next shot, when they immediately are in orbit, R7 has a completely different paint job, and that seems like a pretty big oopsie. When I saw it, I was like, did I just see that wrong? I was like, did I imagine that? And then I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm tired. I'll check again tomorrow, see if anyone else noticed it. I watched a few reviews, and they're like, yeah, they messed up with it. I'm like, okay, good. I'm not crazy. Well, I might be crazy, but not crazy with that. That doesn't prove anything. Okay, so, looking at it, I think that this episode, it was pretty good, even though it included characters that I really didn't enjoy. I felt like the Martez sisters were pretty weak characters, but I feel like they at least listened to the complaints and were able to fix some of the main problems. The main sister, Rafa, who I really had no problems with. I just felt like she was kind of a bland character. But the sister Trace was one I had major problems with, because I felt like she was too stupid. And I mean stupid, I mean like Jar Jar Binks might be like, I wouldn't say Einstein, but seems decently smart compared to her. Because, I mean, she was still extremely dumb, but nothing to, like, blow Jar Jar out of the water. But I think that they did a good job trying to fix her a little bit. She still wasn't perfect and was still a little annoying, but she was dialed down a lot. And she at least got a little smarter, which does go into that one theory I released a few weeks ago, about that pretty big time gap and the Ahsoka arc happening pretty early into that. And I do have another thing to say about that, but I'll mention that at the end, since that's not related to this video at all. But when watching this, I was really thinking that when I first saw them, I was like, oh great, these guys again. Don't really want to see them. But I was at least fine at the end of the episode, and the most intriguing part is Wrecker's inhibitor chip being activated. And that's the thing, this is how you set up a twist, do what the sequel trilogy does and tease a bunch of stuff, and then, at the last second, be like, nah, that's not important, we're just trolling you or something. This is definitely showing dedication and great attention to detail, besides that plot hole of the R7 droid being totally different in two different shots. And that's totally on them. There's always going to be small little problems in this. And if this is the first problem that most people would notice, and this is episode 6, then that's pretty good if they have one mistake in 6 episodes. Not like in the same amount of time you're getting a bunch of mistakes in Resistance, and by that I mean like the first second was a mistake to the last. The thing is, I'm fine with people who enjoy Resistance, but I could not. That makes it one of the worst Star Wars properties for me, because even with what I consider the worst of Star Wars movies, and even the holiday special, I was able to at least sit through it and watch it. I could not even get through that first episode of Resistance. It was that brutal and so bad. I was just like, there is no way I am going to subject myself to 2 seasons of this. And that's one of the few shows that I just gave up on from episode 1. And it's probably one of the worst shows I've ever watched. But let's go back to this one, which is probably one of the best shows I've ever watched. This show was definitely doing a great job. And trying to speculate on who the one person could be that they're talking to, we need to figure out logically who they would be connected to. So they were underworld citizens who didn't have much connection to the upper worlds of Coruscant until they met Ahsoka and made a few connections. And we know that Ahsoka did visit them, at least quickly, and I'm guessing they probably went to her because it would have been a really bad idea for Ahsoka to go to the heart of the Empire on Coruscant to meet up with her friends, although the underworld is very poorly guarded and not really anyone goes down there that they would say like matters and is part of the Empire. There's a lot of people down there that were just stuck down there. Some of them never see the sun and stuff, but that's just some facts for another video. Let's go back to this. Trying to figure it out. We need to think who Ahsoka would know that is male that can connect them. And looking at the people that are possible, we have a few options, including Saw Gerrera. And the only reason that may not work is because Saw Gerrera already knows about them, but it could just be them confirming the location of the Bad Batch to Saw Gerrera, because I believe that he will be involved with them again. It will probably be the most interesting team up for them to do with early Rebels. and Ahsoka may have connected them with him, since she did know Saw and his rebels. Another could be Captain Rex, and this could be how Rex meets up with them. And I would say this is maybe the most logical one, until you realize that in Rebels, Rex didn't really want to go up against the Empire and kind of wanted to retire. But this possibly could be because in the Bad Batch, it eventually leads to a tragedy of him going up against the Empire and convinces him that he just needs to retire and that'd be best for the galaxy. Not exactly, do like a Luke Skywalker and fully give up, but really just go into hiding until there is a real rebellion to be held against the Empire. And that may be the reason that he doesn't want to initially join the rebels, but realizes that they do have a chance and decides to go with them. That's just a quick theory from me, and why I think Rex is the most likely. But if we look at some other people, it could be Bail Organa, but if it is, that means Ahsoka's probably already joined up with him, and that would be basically making almost everything in the Ahsoka novel not happen, and that's going to anger a lot of fans. So I'm not really sure if it's going to be Bail Organa, but I definitely think it is possible, and it would just be not as big for me since I never got to read the book. Although I do read a lot of the Star Wars books, and read that one, and it's not even shown on the official book list at the end of, or the beginning of most of the Star Wars canon books. So I'm not really sure if it is canon, or if it's just sort of like in a weird spot. That's kind of like semi-canon, since it is a book, but if I go grab the copy of the newest Star Wars book, which I'm going to do right now, I'm looking at Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good, and looking at the period right after Revenge of the Sith. There is Catalyst, Lords of the Sith, Tarkin, and then Solo. And since Ahsoka takes place about a year in the year period after Revenge of the Sith, from what I've heard, it's not appearing on here, so I'm not really sure if it's considered canon. But yeah, that's what I think about that. Also, sorry about that sound. Someone dropped something and I didn't really want to feel editing it out because it was a little too close to my audio. I didn't want to clear off some of it. So I didn't feel like the re-recording. I was just like, yeah, it's fine. So looking at this, yeah, I think this was a good episode. I think it was my favorite, and it was pushed on a little bit by there being characters that I didn't really like that much, but still enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see where it continues. And to mention that last thing, I definitely was able to confirm that one theory I had a little more with looking at Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good. Inside of the front cover, it showed the timeline, and it says that these books happened before the events of Dark Disciple, and in the first Thrawn Ascendancy book, there are spoilers, but that book is like half a year old. I was reading it, I finished it a few weeks ago, because I didn't really get a chance to until I was out of school, and it confirmed that the events of Thrawn alliances took place over 5 weeks, since the events of that happened in the middle of that book, but it is confirmed that it was at least 5 weeks, and in the newest one, it was changed a little bit because in that one, the first Final Fantasy book, it was said that the events happened after Dark Disciple, but the newest one says it happens before, and well, both books happened before. So, considering that there's kind of a loose timeline, maybe part of it happened before Dark Disciple started, but most of Dark Disciple happened after it. And since essentially a month passed, I feel like that's very likely that Anakin and Padme conceived Luke and Leia, and I confirmed a lot of time passed, at least a month, and things are definitely getting more interesting, and we know a little more about the timeline. Also, I saw that earlier today, a few of the new LEGO Star Wars sets were officially revealed. I'm going to wait for the rest of them to be officially revealed before I go over the updated stuff on that. So, once at least the Moff Gideon's cruiser is revealed, and maybe the advent calendar, then I'll go over it in more detail. Thank you for watching, and I'm really excited to see the next episode of The Bad Batch. And I'll see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please like the video, leave some comments, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. And may the Force be with you.